Our national interest ought to be to encourage the best, and the brightest.
We have had politicians doing stupid things.
The best, and the brightest.
Or the people who did the bombing in Spain, or the people who attacked the United States in New York, shot down the plane over Pennsylvania.
The best, and the brightest.
Now, you're all laughing, and when people laugh at a politics, they say, we all know politicians are always fudging the truth, and that, and say it. In our case, that's true, because I have a
the best, and the brightest.
And I'm proud to have been his partner, and we've had trials. We've made some mistakes. We've had some success.
The best, and the brightest.
Therefore, I believe in white supremacy.
The best, and the brightest.
And above all, because we came as conquerors, not as conquerors, but as liberators.
The best, and the brightest.
My plan to secure the border, 2 words. Chuck Norris.
The best, and the brightest.
Making this argument. Can I just say?
The best, and the brightest.
Fool me once. Shame on you. You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
I am absolutely opposed to a national ID card. This is a total contradiction of what a free society is all about. The purpose of government is to protect the secrecy and the privacy of all individuals, not the secrecy of government. We don't need a national ID card.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
The real deception is when we distort the value of money. When we create money out of thin air, we have no savings, and yet there's so-called capital.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
I'm talking exactly about that because that's what we have been doing. We used to support Saddam Hussein, and we used to be allied with Osama bin Laden, and what I want to do is stop that. Who are our friends one day turn out to be our enemies. Right now, we finally got rid of Saddam Hussein, and what are we doing now? We're rearming the Sunnis, the old henchmen of Saddam Hussein.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
Congress, in essence, has ceded total control of the value of our money to a secretive central bank. Congress created the Federal Reserve, yet it had no constitutional authority to do so.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
Why should we not be defending civil liberties? And why should we not be talking about foreign policy?
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
We must address the important consequences of the Fed manipulation of interest rates. When interest rates are artificially low, below market rates, insidious malinvestment and excessive indebtedness inevitably brings about the economic downturns that everyone dreads. We look at GDP figures and reassure ourselves that all is well, yet a growing number of Americans still do not enjoy the high standard of living that monetary inflation brings to the privileged few.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
So right now we're building an embassy in Iraq that's bigger than the Vatican. We're building 14 permanent bases. What would we say here if China was doing this in our country or in the Gulf of Mexico? We would be objecting. We need to look at what we do from the perspective of what would happen if somebody else did it to us.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
We as Americans are taxed to blow up the bridges overseas. We're taxed to go over and rebuild the bridges overseas while our bridges are falling down in this country. This country is going bankrupt, and we can't afford this. We need to take care of ourselves. We do not need to sacrifice one thing more. We just need to take care of ourselves and get the government out of our lives and off our back and out of our wallet.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
We stood up to the Soviets. They had 40,000 nuclear weapons. Now we're fretting day in and day night about third world countries that have no army, navy, or air force, and we're getting ready to go to war.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
How in the world can we expect to solve the problems of inflation, that is, the increase in the supply of money, with more inflation?
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
Let me see if I get this right. We need to borrow $10 billion from China, and then we give it to Musharraf, who's a military dictator who overthrew an elected government, and then we go to war, we lose all these lives promoting democracy in Iraq. I mean, what's going on here?
Another question about electability. Do you have any, sir? There's always the question as to whether or not you are, in fact, viable.
They're not going after Luxembourg.
The best, and the brightest.
It fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
I mean, what's going on here?